What's going on, jabronis? Welcome to React After Payback. That's right, we're back for another episode of React, and tonight, Matt and myself, we're talking about tonight's WWE pay-per-view or free per-view, depending on whether or not you signed up for free this month.
They don't like the subscribers.
They don't like the subscribers, but I pay anyways. So
who cares about the fans who dedicate their time and their money?
Yeah,
who gives a shit about them?
Exactly. They know we're suckers. We're going to be here regardless. Yep. But either way, we're glad that you guys are here, tuned in to React After Raw. Let's get started right away. We're going to skip the pre-show because the pre-show is totally worth skipping.
You don't want to talk about Stardust and R-Truth? Come on.
Sorry, man.
Classic. That's going to go down in history right there with Hogan and Andre.
You're right. You're right. When it comes down to tonight's pre-show, I asked creative, what's up? Because that was terrible. But let's start right off the rip with Ziggler versus Sheamus. Dolph Ziggler, Sheamus, they went at it. And honestly, if you're a rope breaker, we're not too fond on Sheamus. We never have been. But I have to say, and Matt, I know you'll agree, Sheamus has been doing some excellent work as one of those badass heels, just like a tough guy heel.
Yep, absolutely. Honestly, the way I describe it is I want to hate him still, but I just can't.
Right.
His theme, his new attire, his style, everything, I just can't help it. I want to hate him so much, but I just can't. It's working.
Yeah, it definitely is working, and it works with Ziggler too, being that he's a huge babyface, obviously still wicked over with the IWC crowd and with the casual crowd as well. So Ziggler goes into this match. It's kind of like who wins, because either way, I feel like you're going to have IWC complainers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Sheamus needed this match to continue building his heel stature. And Ziggler is one of those guys where if he loses, the fans just continue to get behind him. Hey, Ziggler should have won. What Marks and Smarks don't get is they want you to feel that way. They want you to feel like Ziggler got slighted. But it is what it is. And, Ziggler was busted open in this match. There was blood. We got it. There was a picture of him on Twitter after he had like 10 plus stitches. It was a grueling battle. There's really not much else to talk about. It was a great way to open the show. It was a hot way to open the show.
I agree.
And now we've got Sir Tommy T weighing in here saying, I ain't going to be able to stay, guys. It's 4 a.m. in the UK and I have college at 8 a.m. So I'm a bit tight. I'm a bit fucked, really. Night, guys, and have a good stream. Hashtag bring back sharpshoot. I appreciate that, Tommy. Listen, if it helps, we're only sticking around for a half hour here. So we're about 5 minutes in. We're only going to be around for 25 more minutes here. We're keeping these shows condensed because we know a big part of our fan base is located out in the UK. And we don't want to make you guys stay up forever. But, hey, my college ended, buddy. So, there's going to be some new content coming out. Not quite the sharpshoot, but stay tuned. There will be more compelling content coming out on the site soon, but we appreciate it.
What about hashtag bring back before the bell? That hurt. I'm just kidding.
Was before the bell even ever here?
I don't even know what that is. Sleeping under the rug.
All right, let's move forward to the tag titles. Talk a bit about the tag team championships, and really another great match. And that's been the theme of the last couple pay-per-views is they haven't really gotten a lot of momentum and steam going into them. But then the pay-per-views themselves have been really surprisingly good. And I know a lot of people online still complain about them just because it seemed like it's the cool thing to do. But Kid and Cesaro versus New Day was another excellent match, excellent spots. I mean,
I agree. Oh, yeah. It was very innovative, things that they did, very creative. This is one of those matches where I'm really starting to get into New Day. I'm really starting to get into their gimmick. I think they're going in the right direction. I know I said to you before when I first saw them, turning them heel, I was afraid of them keeping the same gimmick and the same costumes and just turning them heel. But it's working. It's working out really, really well, and I'm starting to really dig it. In this match, like you said, fantastic. The chemistry was there. They worked really well. I know there was that botch in the middle. Mm-hmm. I mean, you were really, really worried about that, but they seemed to just glide right over that, and it almost like it didn't even matter. I know I said to you, things like that have a tendency to take the steam out of the momentum out of matches like this. And luckily and surprisingly, it didn't. They kept going, and they all worked they gelled really well together. It really seems promising for the tag team division.
Yeah, the tag team division is really on the up and up, and that's a really great sign because for months, years, we talked about, on last week's React After Raw, the tag team division has just been stale. But they are coming back. I like the way the New Day took advantage of Adam Jones being in the crowd, the Baltimore Oriole, got that hometown heat, dissing the Orioles. That's a classic, very simple, very easy way to get heat. They did that. Then the segment backstage with Byron after, they're sipping the milk out of the champagne glasses, and then they tell them, hey, you're going to be defending those titles at Elimination Chamber, in the Elimination Chamber. That's also super interesting. It remains to be seen whether or not there will be 6 separate teams with 2 in each pod, or what they do there. But whatever they do, it's going to be interesting seeing those tag titles defended in the Elimination Chamber. Moving on, let's talk about the women's match, or the Divas match, I should say, between the Bella Twins and Naomi and her bodyguard, Tamina, which really Naomi pretty much fought the match alone, which is disappointing. Now, the reason we wanted to bring this up, we thought about just breezing right by this match. Now, they did give them 6 minutes, and it was, a decent in-ring battle. But the problem is, Matt and I last night attended NXT Albany, the live show, and what an absolutely amazing contrast between the NXT women's division and the WWE Divas division. And it's not a knock on the Divas. It's a knock on the people writing the show. Last night, NXT live show, we saw 2 women's matches. And both of them probably lasted 15 minutes apiece or so. Tonight, on a WWE pay-per-view, we get 1 Divas match that lasts 6 minutes, and something that I know you're big on, it wasn't even contested for the Divas Championship. Why does that bug you?
It really makes the title irrelevant. I mean, what's the point of a Divas division if there's nothing to fight over? What if they were to take the WWE Championship away? What would be the point? There's nothing. There's not that takes away the brass ring. That is their brass ring,
right?
And you're kind of making it irrelevant by making these tag team matches. And they've been doing this for the past few months. This isn't just something a couple times they're doing it. It seems like I almost forgot that there was a Divas Championship at one point. Because they don't even mention it really.
Right, and when they do, it's not like it's a prominent title.
It's getting the I can't say U.S. Championship treatment anymore because that's starting to get more prominent. But how the U.S. title was treated, that's kind of what it's getting now. It's becoming a paperweight. Who gives a shit? Who cares about the Divas? And it really falls back on, if they don't care about the Divas division, then why should we?
Right.
And you made good points talking about the NXT live house show and how we had 2 women's matches, and they were both fantastic. And on top of that, I want to add that in one of those matches, there was, it involved Dana Brooke, who is still very green, and they still were able to pull off a very successful match.
Yeah, this is awesome chance. This is wrestling chance. I mean, the one match we saw was Becky Lynch and Dana Brooke versus Bayley and Alexa Bliss. Excellent match. Then we saw, prior to that, we saw Charlotte versus Sasha, which was arguably the best match of the night. And, people were super hot for that match. And I guess the thing that really bothers me and bugs me is that there are divas on the roster that are capable of putting on excellent matches, and they just refuse to allow them to. They could have very easily they could have cut time from the Cena Rusev match a little bit here, a little bit in the Sheamus Ziggler match. They gave Sheamus and Ziggler a ton of time tonight. They could have cut time from the Barrett Neville match. Cutting a little bit everywhere to add to that would help.
And it's not even like cut a minute from this match, a minute. By the time you cut a minute from each match, you already got 6 minutes to spare now.
Right.
And you can just throw that in. That's 12 minutes for the Divas to do something. And they just don't give them the time. And, you think of Divas who came from NXT who are now in on the main roster, like Paige and Emma, who had fantastic matches when they were in NXT together. You know, they had standing ovation matches. They had matches that were matches of the night. And then they come over to the WWE on their main roster, and it just goes to show that's not the Divas. It's the people booking and writing the Divas.
Absolutely. And I know, especially with Emma, obviously Paige has had her success in the main roster. Emma's a footnote. She was a great wrestler in NXT. She gets brought up to the main roster, and she gets paired with Santino as kind of a joke. Since then, we haven't really seen much of her at all on the main roster. She even went back down to NXT. You know, so I get worried when I think of a Charlotte, a Sasha Banks, a Becky Lynch coming up to the main roster. I know that they're under Triple H's protection, but the problem is, so were these other divas and these other NXT talents. You think of the Ascension, you know, they come up and they just get wasted. Yep. You know, welcome to Wasteland. Yeah. No pun intended, but actually, really pun intended.
Yeah.
Let's move on, though. We're going to talk about another talent that's maybe getting wasted, or so many people think, not necessarily what we think, and we're going to talk about it now. John Cena, Rusev, the I Quit match, a great match.
I agree.
Excellent, hard-fought battle, and let me tell you guys, I know there's a lot of people jumping off the boat. Settle down. Rusev has not been buried.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, this again is a great match for him. John Cena putting Rusev over big time. Now, we did have some complaints about John Cena. I tweeted about them on our Twitter, which you can follow us at Rope Break Wrestling. You know, you had mentioned a big thing that you noticed with Cena is that he didn't change his voice. He wasn't selling any pain in his voice when he was responding to Mike Chioda on whether or not he wanted to quit. That was kind of bothering us. And then some of the way he was just not selling in the match. On the other hand, you have Rusev, who's taking an ass whooping, and he was selling extremely well in his voice, in his facial expressions, selling injuries. He was just doing an excellent job. But Matt, there's still people out there that are going to say Rusev's buried. He's going nowhere. He's now lost to Cena multiple times in a row. He's lost WrestleMania, Extreme Rules, and now here at Payback. Why is he not buried?
The reason he's not buried is the fact that all of those matches, there's been something in them to protect him. This one in particular, you had Lana, who comes in and says, I quit, which adds depth to his own individual storyline, not just his championship storyline. I thought it was the perfect way to go about doing this. I loved the finish. I thought it was really well done. You had Rusev being choked out by the rope in the STF, which Cena's got to lock that shit up. Drives me nuts every time. I know it drives you nuts too. Drives good old
Lock it up, son.
Drives good old Stone Cold Steve Austin nuts. But, you know, he had the chain around him. You know, he had Mike Chioda coming over, do you quit? And he said some stuff in Bulgarian, and which didn't sound to me like I quit. I know you had checked online and somebody said something to the effect of I'd rather die is kind of what he said. And then you have Lana running in and saying I quit. I think that it not only does not bury Rusev, I think that built him tremendously. This entire match, the way he sold it, the way that he continued to keep fighting no matter what happened. He got hit with fireworks at one point and he still wouldn't quit.
Right.
I think this built up Rusev immensely. And I can't wait to see. My only concern with this is it seems like they're going in the direction to split him from Lana, and I really feel, and I've said this to you, I've said it on the site and to Alec, that I think that's a big mistake. Not because Rusev necessarily needs Lana in the sense that she needs to speak for him, but more in the sense of how Paul Heyman benefits a guy like Brock Lesnar. You know, I think having that buffer of somebody else speaking for you makes it, when you speak, it comes off that much more real.
Right.
It means that much more when you don't speak every single week and you have Alana coming in speaking for you, and now it makes you seem like a bigger deal. It makes you seem more powerful. So I think taking that element away, there is potential to hurt Rusev there. So I think if anything were to have, quote, buried Rusev, it could possibly be, and it's not an intentional, but that could end up hurting his career overall. But that remains to be seen as far as this match goes, though. I thought they did a fantastic job. You did make a good point with Cena not selling. Really, anything too well. Not breathing heavy. He kind of got up quicker than I think he should have for some of them. Typical, Super Cena, not, his voice, like I said, like you said, his voice didn't change. Nope. I don't quit. Nope, just gonna keep going. I'm fine. It just didn't seem like Cena was injured, and then it's even more difficult when you have that contrast between Cena and Rusev, who, like you said, Rusev was selling the hell out of his injuries, and then you have the contrast of Cena, who's not really doing as good a job. I think even with that, though, I think Rusev did one hell of a job and really made this match great.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, and I see where they're going with the Rusev and Lana thing. I think the reason being is they want to keep Rusev a huge heel, and what's happening is Lana's getting such a big face reaction from the crowd, and she's so. I mean, her character itself is not likable, but obviously, the savages that wrestling fans are, myself included, are naturally going to be drawn towards Lana. She's a beautiful woman, so she's always going to be looked at in a positive light for the most part by fans. Plus, she's gone through great lengths to keep her to keep kayfabe intact as far as her character goes. I'm not sold though, like you. I don't know what they're planning on doing. I've heard that maybe she's going to be revealed to be not really Russian at all. I don't really understand what they're going to do here, but I do like the way it's adding a layer to Rusev's character, like you said. Now, let's talk briefly about Adrian Neville, or Neville, the new sensation.
Who the hell is Adrian Neville?
The new sensation.
Oh, yeah, okay. I know what you're talking about now. That guy's great.
The new sensation, Neville, taking on Barrett, King Barrett, that is. And that match was pretty interesting. I thought it was pretty good. We had some good spots in there. That's really what you come to expect from Neville right now. And they've got a really good rivalry going here between him and King Barrett. And, I mean, there's really not much to dig your teeth into here. It kind of is exactly what we expected it to be. Some really good spots. Kind of weirded out, though, by the finish.
Yeah.
The count-out finish. Yeah. I don't even know if the ref was actually at 10.
Yeah, to me, it sounded like 6, 7, and then ring the bell. I didn't hear a 10, and it definitely felt weird. I don't know.
Maybe it was because Barrett was standing up and saying, he wasn't going to go back in the ring. He was alert and everything, but it just didn't make sense. And
I was also wondering if it had something to do with the injury that Neville sustained. He definitely pulled something, and he obviously continued through anyway. But I'm wondering if they ended up calling it that quick because they realized he was injured and didn't want to continue, or and make it worse.
Right.
But definitely a weird finish.
The finish was weird in my opinion. I guess I get why they did it because Barrett. It makes Barrett look like a coward. Here, by the way, is the Ziggler blood busted open replay. Matt actually missed that part. But in regards to Neville, it was kind of weird. I guess I get the booking because they had Barrett look like a coward by, counting himself out. And then he comes back in and tries to get the cheap shot in. But eventually Neville goes over anyways. So he wins the match and hits the red arrow. So it's as good as a clean victory to me, to be honest with you. Neville gets the last laugh. Hopefully his knee isn't really as injured as he let on. I'm hoping that he's just really good at selling, but it did look like he did definitely tweak his knee there.
Yep.
He also landed the red arrow perfectly, and his knee smacked on the mat hard when he landed that. So, and then after that, he was up and walking on it. Okay, so that led me to believe he wasn't terribly injured, but probably going to have some bumps and bruises tomorrow morning. But we've got about 9 minutes left in the show here. Before we talk about the main event, I want to remind you guys that we will be back again tomorrow night for React after Raw, immediately following Raw. We will be.
Oh my goodness.
We just got the ratings in from last week, and apparently the boss is going to let us be on for another episode of React after Raw. This week is actually going to break history for React. And, I know Alec is probably going to be looking on and crying tears of joy as his baby continues to grow. React is going to air 3 times live this week. We're going to do tonight. We've got React after Payback. Tomorrow we've got React after Raw, and then you've got a day break because we don't want to overload you. Wednesday, React after the NXT live event. It's going to be absolutely crazy, unstoppable, NXT unstoppable. And I'm going to go out on a gander here. We've got some leftover prizes. Why don't we just go ahead and admit right now, or reveal that we're going to give something away.
We have to.
We got to give something away on Wednesday.
We got to.
Wednesday, NXT Unstoppable. We'll be giving away something. Not sure yet. Maybe we'll announce that information tomorrow. So we'll get you tuned in tomorrow night to React after all to figure out what we're giving away and how you can win it for NXT Unstoppable, the React after that show. But before we get into all that excitement, we've got to talk about tonight. And tonight, we had a great main event, fatal 4-way, really 5 guys significantly involved. You had Randy Orton, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and Kane played a big factor in the match as well. So let's talk a little bit about this match here. First off, who did you expect to win the match?
Honestly, Seth Rollins. I know you probably felt the same way being a Seth Rollins mark. It just made sense. You're going to keep building this guy. It wouldn't make sense to have that big of a build at WrestleMania to just have him lose it at a pay-per-view like Payback. That wouldn't make any sense. So, and obviously they keep doing it this similar way. Obviously he's that weaselly. I am hoping for him and for us as fans that they do start eventually kind of breaking him away from that a little bit, because I feel like when they build a heel in this generation's WWE, it becomes that weaselly heel. It's very rare that you get that strong heel. I mean, now we have the Rusevs and now Sheamus, but I would like to see him be more of a dominant heel somewhere down the line.
I definitely agree, and a good thing to point to is, I think they keep him in that weaselly heel gimmick because he's aligned with the Authority. I think it's important to know that that doesn't mean that you need to be a weasel. You look at, the corporate champion, The Rock.
Yep.
Who, he had his weaselly moments in that time, but he was also in some really grueling, brutal matches where he went over clean. You think his feud with Mankind immediately.
Yep, absolutely.
So, they don't need to do that with Rollins.
I agree. Completely agree. It's a very good point. They definitely, like you said, they can have those weaselly moments, but they need to start building him stronger. They need to start putting him in matches where he's going to win cleanly. And I think the problem with the WWE is they're afraid to make their guys lose. Everything has to end. Everybody has to be protected. I don't think it's necessarily that big of a deal if a Roman Reigns loses, as long as you continue to build him after that. Just because he lost to Rollins once doesn't mean he's completely dead.
Right.
You can build him, put him in a match with somebody on Raw and put him over and just keep building him. Just don't let him go. And I think, it's not a bad thing to have a Rollins go over a Reigns. I think that actually would help both guys.
See, that's the problem with today's era of Raw, in my opinion, because you look back into the Attitude Era, and I don't want to be one of those guys that's stuck on the Attitude Era. Oh my God, it's not coming back. Get over it. Yes, I understand that. But you look back at that time period. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry. But you look back at that time period, and the main events of Raw, and even not even the main event, but you were seeing matches like The Rock versus Kurt Angle. Yep. You're looking at Undertaker versus The Rock. Everybody faced each other. Now it's kind of a tendency where they want to protect everybody so much where you never see a match, like you said, of Rollins, Reigns with a clean ending.
Yep.
You just never see it. And at the end of the day, a grueling match where one guy goes over ends up getting both guys over.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Because if somebody can take an ass whooping and come back for more, it makes them look strong. But I guess that's, complaining about spilled milk. Really, I thought the main event was really good. We had Rollins, Ambrose, and Reigns reuniting for one time only, which you thought might be a general theme of the match. I thought they did that perfectly.
I did too.
The way they teased it, and then you had Reigns and Ambrose look at each other or look at Rollins, and the smile turned serious. I thought that was perfect.
Oh, I agree.
It was well done. Just really all together. I like that they kept Reigns and Ambrose on the same page pretty much the entire match. There was the one part where they were in the ring trading blows, and that's fine because it's just two guys, two peers going at it.
And the way that they built that too, the way that they spoke to each other beforehand and said, well, there's nothing else left to do. And they got in the ring and they kind of continued that camaraderie in the ring. And it was, and they even said it on commentary, there's no friends when it comes to the WWE Championship, which is true. They both wanted, they both respect each other, but they're both going to fight. I thought that was done very, very well.
And I think it was important to keep those two on the same page because you got Ambrose, who's such a big face, and you've got Reigns, who they still are trying to get a good portion of the crowd to turn on to. And had they gone with significant amount of time between Reigns and Ambrose, you would have definitely seen the crowd booing Reigns more than they wanted to. So I think it was good that they stayed on the same page for the most part. It was kind of like you had Orton as a lone dog, and then you had Reigns and Ambrose, and then you had Rollins, J&J, and Kane on the same page there. So, what'll be interesting from this match is to see the fallout, what they choose to do from here. What does Randy Orton do from here? He's gotten his few rematches in, and do they continue that feud or do they, pass it to the side? I think I would really like to see, I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately, but I'd like to see a Rollins, Ambrose, Reigns SummerSlam main event. But I have the feeling that Brock Lesnar is definitely going to be in for the SummerSlam main event just to get his title rematch. But maybe that's in store for WrestleMania next year. Maybe they'll have that triple threat at WrestleMania. That would be awesome. That would be full circle. That would be very, very smart booking. That's what everybody wants to see too.
Yep, I completely agree. I don't really care to see Orton and Rollins again.
No.
I mean, we probably will, knowing how WWE books things, because it was so hot. They wanted to continue that. But that's how you kill feuds. I think it's gone as far as it's going to go. I don't think that Reigns can really get any more of this from this right now.
Right.
Maybe they pick it up somewhere down the road, but right now I think they need to just let it go its separate ways. And I think you're right about Lesnar coming back for SummerSlam in that main event. And I feel like they're still working on Rollins and Reigns, and I think that we're going to see an interference from Reigns. That's just my prediction.
Maybe he wins Money in the Bank. Maybe you've got him cash in on Rollins. I had suggested that. Maybe you see him cash in on Rollins at SummerSlam, screw him out of the title, and then you've got seeds for a WrestleMania main event where you don't need Brock Lesnar in that picture anymore, and then maybe you add Ambrose in as a Royal Rumble winner or something like that. Who knows? But either way, I thought the pay-per-view overall, I would give it probably a B+. I thought it was a really solid show.
Yep. I'll probably give about the same thing. Yeah, B+. It definitely was solid. Booked really well all the way through. They did a great job at that. Really, I can't even think of a match, even though the Divas match was only like 6 minutes long. It wasn't a filler. It was still a solid match. There really wasn't a match on this card that really made me say, oh man, I don't want to watch this. I'm going to go take a piss. There was no piss break match. It was just all the way through really, really well done. Everything was done very smart. I mean, even though Cena still won, it was done in a way that was smart and, still protected Rusev. So it wasn't one of those, oh, screw Cena, this sucks. Right. Even though there are fans who are still going to do that because, like you said, it's a popular thing to do, them damn wrestling hipsters. But yeah, there's nothing really.
The important thing about it was it didn't feel like it was 3 hours long.
Right. Yep.
And that's really what Raw, the element that Raw has to it is there's points where you're sitting there like, I don't know how I'm going to make it to the main event here tonight. This show was very fluid. It was very good. It was very short, kind of like this show React after Payback. We're right at our half-hour mark, so we're trying to keep it in a half hour for you guys. That way our friends out in the UK can get to sleep, and everybody else can get to sleep too. It's 11:30 on the East Coast in the US too, so it's not early. Nick the Cena fans passed out over here anyways. But we want to remind you guys we're back on tomorrow night, immediately following Raw. We're going to announce what we'll be giving away during React after Unstoppable. That's right, you're getting 3 Reacts in the same week. Tonight's React, tomorrow night after Raw, and Wednesday night after NXT. We will be bringing you React, and on the night after NXT, we're going to be doing that giveaway there for React Unstoppable, man.
I don't even know what to say. The Rope Break crew, they're getting a treat.
Lucky dogs, lucky dogs.
They are lucky. They're getting a treat.
So for the ending of the show, which is really a staple now, I want to tell you, Matt, to take the floor and tell these people what they need to do in regards to their friends that may or may not be watching the show.
Oh man, this is dangerous. This is lethal. What I'm about to say.
It's lethal minus the J.
minus the J.
That's what I did there.
Yeah. This guy's good. This is why we keep him around. He's clever.
That's right.
Something like that. So if you got friends, I got friends. This is one of my friends. And they're not a fan of Rope Break. He's a fan of Rope. He's got the network. I don't. That's the only reason I'm here.
That's right.
So if you got friends, but they don't know anything about the network, that hurts us. Because honestly, that's neglectful. We don't like neglect. That's not cool.
No,
you're neglecting your friends. You're not bringing them into the Rope Break lifestyle. And to be honest, dude, if you're not living the Rope Break lifestyle, you're not living.
You're not living at all.
You're not living, period.
No.
So you got to help them out. Bring them on over. It's very easy, too. There's a cure for this. It's so simple. Bring them on over, facebook.com/ropebreakwrestling. Bring them on over to our Twitter page, twitter.com/ropebreakwrestling. And if you're like, oh, I can't remember all of that, it's in the description. It's right. Easy. Click. That's all you got to do. It's that simple. We make it as easy as possible.
It's jabroni proof.
It's jabroni proof. Absolutely. Even go to our website, ropebreakwrestling.com, and bookmark that shit. Make it your homepage.
There's like if you're going on the internet, all right, there's no reason to go on any other site than ropebreakwrestling.com.
Absolutely.
I mean, maybe you want to, maybe you search Google Images for hot pics of Natty or something like that. That's fine. But make sure you land on ropebreakwrestling.com every time you sign onto the computer. And like Matt said, we're on Twitter at @ropebreakwrestling. It's in the description. You can like us on Facebook. Over 4,000 people already have. Why haven't you? And, of course, the most important thing here for React after pay-per-views, after Raws, is like, share, and subscribe right here on YouTube and let all of your friends know, just like Matt said. But we've got to close it up here, Matt. For everybody at ropebreakwrestling.com, that's Alec, that's Mitchell Jones, all the staff writers. For my main man, Matt Donato here. For Nick the Cena fan who's out cold on the couch over here, I am AuSSy, and that is our show. We'll see you tomorrow night for React after Raw. Until then, get some sleep, jabronis.